on the ground stuff, but also with spreading her word through music. But then you also have Jason, who's doing some prevention stuff. So it's going to be a great conversation. Like I said, everyone, make sure that you have your notepads, your pens, you're writing down resources and things of that sort, but also have questions as well. What's a conversation with no questions? So, make sure you put in your questions in the comments, or you can also submit at the bottom. It is like a little bubble with a question mark in it. If you want to put your question in there, you can as well. Like I said, everyone, please share this with 10 other people in your network. Make sure they come on over and be a part of this conversation because it's so, so important. So, I'm going to let you guys introduce yourself, and I'm sure Jason is going to say ladies first. So, Bailey, you can go ahead and introduce yourself.
Yeah, hi, I'm Bailey James. I'm a singer-songwriter based out of Nashville, Tennessee, but I also am
No, she got. There she go. Hopefully. This will happen when she's in her car.
Yeah.
Yes.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
We can now.
Sorry, my dad called. Anyway, as I said, I'm Bailey James. I'm a singer-songwriter based out of Nashville, Tennessee, but I'm big in mental health and just helping others through music, also through talking about my story. I have my own mental health issues, lost my brother Zane to suicide when he was 18. And that really was the turning point for me when I wanted to do more than just music. I wanted to help people through my music and also share my story, because I think sometimes you look at musicians or you look at people in the entertainment industry and it's really smoke and mirrors on social media as to how they're actually doing. And so I like to be honest and real with people.
Yes. Jason.
Well, it's great to meet you and to meet both of you. I'm Jason Robison. I'm the Chief Program Officer for SHARE, the Self Help and Recovery Exchange in Los Angeles. And we are a peer run organization that is focused on recovery as every individual defines their own recovery. Everybody has their own path to recovery. I myself am a person with lived experience in substance use recovery, mental health issues, and I got into this work originally because as a person in recovery, I was going back and forth between New York and Los Angeles in 2001. And I flew from New York to Los Angeles on September 10th, 2001, because I had a commitment in a recovery group in Los Angeles. And then 9/11 happened, and I got back to New York as soon as I could. And the community based self help support groups that I was attending, when I went back to those meetings, the people in those meetings had some significant trauma, right? I mean, they were already in recovery and now they were searching for coworkers, they were burying coworkers, they were volunteering at the site, and nobody was talking about bombing anybody. People were supporting each other, and it was the most amazing experience of healing that I had ever been part of. And I thought, if everybody had access to this, we would have a different culture. And so I got involved in recovery work, and 20 years later, I'm working with Share and still love what I do. So I work with a lot of gratitude.
That's amazing. That is amazing. And he actually touched into the next question I was going to ask. So, Bailey, I'll just ask you, how did you become a songwriter? Like, what drew you to become a songwriter?
I was always in love with music from a really young age. I'm only 19 right now, so I feel like, yeah, I'm still a baby. But, music is just my place where I could heal and I could find some enjoyment. So it naturally came to me, especially after my brother died, is when I started writing really seriously, because I had so much to write about and so much emotion that I didn't know how to deal with in a healthy way. And songwriting was that place for me. It kind of came from a natural place. And I think a lot of artists find that something happens to them that kind of makes them want to jump into songwriting. And it's that tortured artist aspect of it.
Oh, that is amazing. You know, it's always something that leads us to where we are now, right?
Yes.
And if we don't follow that purpose, we're not living out our purpose. So, you know, your purpose is touching individuals, whether it's through music, whether it's through, you know, peer consulting. You know, Jason, you said, you know, you were one who were once in recovery. So why not help another individual or individuals, you know, help recover? So it is amazing the work that you do and the lives that you touch.
Just to follow up on that, I think it's so important that when we are hiring and recruiting, we talk about the work that we do as a calling. And, you know, our overall goal is to do no harm. That's to the people we serve, to the people that we employ, to the organization itself. And so we try to nurture people and their interest in being in this field to say, this is a heavy lift. And if you're looking at this as just a job, life is too short. You know, go do something you love. And if you don't love this now, that's fine. But if you don't love it now and you start doing it, it's going to be really difficult. So if you're coming in here knowing this is what you want to do, we can support you in ways to sustain this work.
Yes, I love it all. I just love when people give back because I'm such a people person. So I'm like, you know, when my testimony can touch someone else, I know I've done my job. So I know you get that all the time. You know, like I said, whether through music or just on the ground, like doing work with other individuals, your purpose is being fulfilled. So let's go on to our next question. So this can actually go to both of you guys. What are some effects of trauma you see in individuals, whether it is through those individuals who may serve, you know, may have mental illness or become suicidal for Bailey, and then for Jason, for those who are reaching out for resources through Share.
Yeah, in my own personal experience, when I have experienced trauma, it came through like I have derealization on the daily almost, and I've had it for so long, and for 3 years I didn't know what it was because
Mm.
no one really talks about it. No one talks about that feeling, and so I remember I was like 15 when I first had it, and it was terrifying to me. I felt so out of my body. Um, and until I was about 18 and I went to therapy and I started talking to them about how I was feeling, no one told me it was from my trauma. And
Mm.
since then, like EMDR has helped me a lot, medication has helped me a lot, but that was one of the biggest effects of my trauma. And I also have OCD, which is a result of my trauma, my OCD thinking. So I think a lot of um, mental disorders that some people have, especially for me in my case, are like stemming from our trauma and what we've been
Mm.
through.
Yeah, I think we see one of the things that we see with trauma and a trauma response is that we and the people that we're in relationship with, as trauma comes up, our fight and flight response system gets activated. So we're often, bam, right in fight and flight, right? So we're going to be adrenalized, our whole nervous system is going to be active. And so we have things that we work with on our staff in dealing with that. And for the we're in relationship with, a lot of what we're doing is just supporting people in that conflict. Like, not going to always be in agreement. And so, whether it's in housing, whether it's in a peer run respite center, whether it's in a community based recovery center, people are going to get into disagreements. And as we can support people in just being present in the relationship in those disagreements, that develop experience and skills that support people in strengthening relationships through disagreement and conflict and being present in the conflict and being able to distinguish the present moment from my trauma.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, I agree. I think to add on to that, um, I've seen a lot in, especially a lot of my friends are younger females. All of them who have had a traumatic background kind of search for that adrenaline rush that you find in that trauma, and they search for that in bad relationships, and they search for that in substance abuse, and finding a way to have that adrenaline rush, whether it be through working out or just healthier coping skills, is super important. And I try to tell everyone that I exercise on the daily, and that's what helps me, because I am one who looks for that adrenaline rush. It's really, really hard when you need it, and you know that um, you could go to a bad situation. I think it's super important to have those coping skills and know what the healthier alternative is.
Yes. And before we get into like various coping mechanisms, Bailey, I actually want you to tell our audience about your song Finally Free, which is
Yes.
Billboard charted, guys. It's Billboard charted.
Wow.
And she actually wrote the song as a dedication to her brother Zane. So can you tell them about the song?
Yeah. So Finally Free, I was in all the times that I've been like having really amazing things happen in music when I was Billboard charting, I was also really struggling with my mental health at the time. And my mental health got worse as I got older. So I had no coping skills at all, didn't know what I was doing. And I wrote that song for Zane, but also for anyone who was struggling. Because at that time I didn't feel finally free at all. And I was singing it, and I remember feeling like, when am I going to feel like that? But I kept singing the song, and I kept telling my story, because I knew eventually I would find the coping skills, and I would get to where I needed to be. But yeah, I wrote that for Zane, and just for anyone struggling. And it's really important to me, and I think a lot of people related to that feeling. So
Yeah, because I'm sure it gets heavy, you know?
it
And
gets really heavy. It gets really heavy, and I've had to learn how to kind of take my emotions away from the situation so I can speak about certain things. Um, and that was tough, but it's gotten easier as time has gone on, and it's healing. It's healing to talk about all the things you've been through and how far you've come.
yes, and with you talking about that, who has been some of your biggest inspiration or part of your support system when going through, those hard times? And that's for you and Jason.
Do you want to answer first? I feel like I've been talking.
Go ahead. It's all you. Go ahead.
Okay. My parents have helped me the most. I talk about it all the time. They are my best friends. Me and my dad were going through it together. My dad found my brother sunk into alcoholism for 2 to 3 years, and that was really, really tough. On top of it all, I was also watching my dad kind of struggle with addiction, and me and him we were just fighting together. And so he is my backbone, and watching him get up and fight every day and choose to um, live a healthier lifestyle, that's the most important thing to me.
I think my inspirations on a daily basis are peers or people in the support groups that I go to. And I from day one in my own recovery, there were people that I met that blew me away with their strength and their graciousness and their willingness to be there for me. And I use that as inspiration so that I can be there for others. And they're countless. Like this is my new family, right? The godparents of my children are people that I met in self-help support groups.
Wow. Yeah, you just never know.
Yeah.
No.
You never know.
Yeah.
And people are like, oh, you didn't even know those people.
Right.
Like, but you just don't know. You build these relationships with people. And I find myself having sometimes better relationships with complete strangers versus, people I've known for years. So, everybody comes into your life at a certain time for a certain thing. And it's up to you to figure out what they're there for. But, that's amazing to even hear that. You're building a relationship with people, y'all taking the journey together. So, that's good stuff. That is absolutely good stuff. But while we're talking about coping mechanisms, can you give our audience some healthy coping mechanisms that they can utilize if those that may be, suffering or, going through some mental health breakthrough.
Do you want me to go first?
Yeah, this is the order that we've established.
Okay, I'll go first. For me, as I said, EMDR has really helped me. Therapy has helped me. I also have gone to neurotherapy, and that tremendously helped me when I was having really bad OCD. I'm still working every day to cope with the depersonalization, but it's just about grounding myself and getting back into my body, which exercising helps. And I'm really big on the gut-brain connection. So what you put in your body, what you eat, affects your brain and how you cope. And I don't always eat healthy, but I try my best. And I use the coping mechanisms that I learned in therapy. Really, I learned the five senses, what you can see, what you can feel, what you can touch when I'm really having a bad episode, and that's helped me tremendously. So just grounding myself has helped a lot.
Yeah. And in addition to those things, I think they're all essential. I think my experience and in our work at Share emphasizes the importance of social support. So 40%, 40, of whether human beings are okay or not okay is directly related to the amount and quality of social support in their lives. So I've got to have somebody, I've got to have a lot of people that I can call at 2 a.m. when I don't feel good, that are going to pick up the phone and they're going to want to talk to me. And so, when I got into my first self-help support group, the first kind of mentor I met said, hey, I'm going to take you to all these places. I'm going to introduce you to as many people as possible who've gone through what you've gone through, because I like to play softball. I'm going to be out of state playing softball. So you're going to call me and I'm not going to be home. So you need other people you can call. And building that network is really, really critical. So then, within that, right, there are things that we will work with. We work with some tools from different recovery-based self-help support groups. So one is Recovery International, which deals with fear, anxiety, panic, anger, and depression. And another is Adult Children of Alcoholic and Dysfunctional Families, which really deals with trauma from the past, childhood trauma in any and all of its forms. So one is the Recovery International is to reframe our thinking when we're getting worked up so we can get back to the present. And then the ACA is to really get in touch with that trauma and to distinguish past from present in the current situation. And building those tools in both personally and professionally, like in our weekly team meetings for our programs, we are using Recovery International tools for our staff so that they can process the difficult things that have come up for them on the job, because they see things that are really difficult, and helping them have support around that's really essential.
That's good. And while you talk about Share, can you let our audience know what Share is? Because I've been doing some research on Share, and I wish we had a Share here in Philadelphia. Y'all have to get some satellite locations or something, because you offer so many great services and resources. So tell our audience about Share.
Yeah, we are a peer-run organization, so everybody at Share has lived experience of something, some kind of trauma, and we are in recovery from that. And the recovery is through self-help support groups. So we connect people to community-based self-help support groups, and then we replicate the kinds of relationships that happen in self-help support groups for people who aren't yet in those groups. And we do that we have community centers where we'll bring in the self-help support groups that would normally meet in the community, and they'll all meet in our building, and then we'll just bring in people who are falling through the cracks of the systems, right? So the homeless services system, the departments of mental health, health services, we get referrals from all of these county-based organizations and agencies, and we introduce people to relationships, right? And to social support. And we have peer-run respite. We have 2 peer-run respites, which are alternatives to psychiatric hospitalization. So people who are going through a difficult period of time and want some support, but really don't want to be in a hospital setting. So we surround them with a home. We live together, we shop together, we eat together, we support each other for 2 weeks at a time and really build in recovery resources. And we have a housing program, which is peer-run housing. So we move people straight from the sidewalk into our housing, and they've got supportive relationships. 40% of people move in within 24 hours. So we don't do all this paperwork to see who qualifies. When somebody says they want housing, we move them in to the housing we have, and then we figure out, how we can support, get them in a contract or something like that. And the housing is really run by the residents, because it's essential that people experience a sense of meaning and purpose, that they are the leaders, right? And we've got existing housing. We've got single family homes that are in the rental market. So we use those homes rather than creating this separate kind of housing for people that we think need separate needs. We all need the same thing, right? It's community. And so we move people into the community, and they become meaningful parts and contributions to the community.
That is amazing. I see my Orthodox B say she moving. She said she coming to the West Coast.
I know, we need it in Nashville.
See? That is so amazing, because I know, I actually have a client right now who I'm trying to find housing for, and it's just so hard. You have your government housing, which has a waiting list for 2 years. Then you have the shelters that are jam packed. She has a child, so it's oh my gosh, you're running out of resources. But the good thing about it is that you're working with not only my organization, Central Division Victim Services, but also we're working with her teachers, the little girls' teachers, and they're helping. And it's just so much stuff going on. But it's good, like we said, to have that support, that community, so then that way we can get the job done. We can just get the job done.
Yeah.
That is amazing.
We designed our program to just how do we do this right now? How do we get all these people into housing? And we just kind of, more continues to arise, and we just continue to find solutions.
That is so beautiful. When I come back over to the West Coast, I gotta come and see everything.
Absolutely.
And see all this goodness, and let people know that the resources are out there, because a lot of issues with people trying to find resources and assistance is they always saying we didn't know. We don't know that it's there. Well, now you know that it's there. So if anybody's in California, you're in LA, right?
Yes, Los Angeles.
See, yeah, in LA. See, also Doc B, we all coming together. We're just gonna make it one big trip.
Absolutely.
I'll get you from Nashville on the way over.
Yeah, come on. And also, the other thing we do with all of that is just to connect people to the community-based self-help support groups, whatever their goal is, right? It might be to take care of their diabetes. It might be money management. There's a self-help support group in the community for that. And so when we connect people to those other people that have the same goal, most people get jobs through people they know. And so when we're connecting somebody to a self-help support group, they're going to meet people that get to know them, that are going to know people that they're going to then refer to a job, right? Mm-hmm. And so that social network is really everything.
Awesome. Look, you got people in here saying they want to speak. Oh, I like all of this. It's just such greatness when we're on here. It's just all about helping each other. That's what it's all about. It's helping one another. We're not in this competition. It's a collaborative effort. When we're doing things and it's a collaborative effort, so much more can get done. I got tired of doing stuff by myself, and I realized I needed to build a team. You have to have more people to help you reach more people to get more things done, because all we're going to do is put ourselves in a little hole, and we're going to go through some mental health problems because we're trying to figure out trying to micromanage and do all kind of things when we just need to let it go. So learn how to let it go, guys. If you're out here trying to do things by yourself, know that you need help. You need help. in order to get it done. But Bailey, you mentioned going to therapy. Can you talk about how important it is to find a therapist that's a good fit for you?
Yes. I have gone through quite the journey finding a therapist that worked for me. And I think it's really just about how you connect. I mean, it wasn't that any of the therapists were bad therapists. It was just that they weren't the right fit for me. And once I found um, the lady that worked for me, I mean, I instantly started to feel better just because I really at that time needed somebody to speak to that knew nothing about me outside of, you know, um, my life and music and all of that. I just wanted somebody to look at me as Bailey and be like, okay, speak to me. Like, tell me what's going on. And so she has done so much for me. I went from like really disordered panicking and just it was every day constantly to now I can go a week without panicking, and that's just from therapy and talking it out and finding coping skills and EMDR, which I love. I tell everyone about it because it has just helped me. It's scary at first for sure, but it was a life changer for me.
That is good. That's great. Now, Jason, do you guys have like therapists that your the individuals that come to seek services with share can utilize?
So anybody that is coming to any of Share's programs, whatever services they have in place, they stay in place.
Okay.
The special sauce that we do is that we're able to relate to them as people that have been through the same thing. Mm-hmm. So if somebody's homeless, we have peer specialists that have experienced homelessness themselves, and that is a different conversation, right? And then we connect them to the group of peers that have the same goal as they do, so that we build that social support. And all of the, whether it's a health issue or behavioral health or substance use, those kind of case management or therapeutic services operate independently, and sometimes we support people because sometimes, like Bailey mentioned, sometimes it's not a good fit. And sometimes when somebody's in those are also those can be relationships where power is an issue. Those can be relationships where the person receiving services has little power, and they can be, sometimes those services are court involved, and that power is really can be oppressive, can be experienced as controlling. And so we will support people in advocating for themselves for getting the services that they think are a good fit for them. Because it could be that the person, or sometimes the case manager doesn't know the person and is asking them to do things that they know in their heart are not their path. And so we advocate for them to find, the path that is for them, and to find people that are going to support that path.
I love it. I love it. So, what tips or tools can you share with agencies like ours to assist with handling with clients who need assistance, let's say with housing, recovery, employment, or just mental health resources?
I would really say, and we can put this up on our page, the links to kind of the top 20 self-help support groups that are all over the place, so that people have that social support and support you, and hopefully starting your own version of share collaborative housing, so that you're able to use available housing. The Substance Use Mental Health Services Administration has our program our program is a type of what they call shared recovery housing, which is an evidence-based best practice where people share housing together, manage housing themselves, and they're in recovery together. And finding ways to do that in your community for people is going to be a game changer.
That is awesome. Bailey?
Yeah. So I started a movement slash podcast about September. And on this podcast, I bring all kinds of different people from all walks of life. I've had a holistic doctor who talks about the gut brain connection. I bring people on who have suffered with mental health issues, artists, um, therapists, all kinds of people. And we just kind of talk about mental health and whatever subject for that day. And so I have all the sources linked on my Instagram, on my website, and they can find them there.
That's awesome. Congratulations on your podcast.
Thank you.
Yeah, I've been podcasting for almost 4 years now. So yeah,
It's hard.
journey.
It's harder than it
Yeah. It's a lot of work.
yes.
So before we go, can you give our viewers a piece of advice to someone who may be going through some hard times right now?
Yeah. You want to go first?
I'll just say you're not alone. Find somebody to share with, and find a community-based self-help support group that is that deals with the issue you're struggling with, and you will see immediately that you're not alone. We have a referral service in LA County that tracks 12,000 self-help support groups for over 750 different life issues, and 40% of the people that call for a referral to a self-help support group are calling about something they've never shared about with another human being. And we are all going through it. Like Bailey's podcast is about mental health, right? We're all dealing with our mental health, and finding people that are connecting in the way that you're experiencing it is just essential. And it totally changed my life when I heard other people talking about the issue that I was struggling with so differently, because people told me what I should be doing all of my life. And until I heard people talk about the struggles they had with the things that I was struggling with, I had no options. But it changed immediately as soon as I was around other people.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with that completely. I also, what I always say is don't be afraid to reach out for help. I think mental health is so stigmatized, and people are very afraid of being judged and very afraid of being perceived as. I hate when people say, like, oh, they're crazy, or oh, they're insane. Those are the wrong words to use, especially in mental health. And I think that a lot of people come to me and they're just afraid to reach out for help. And I think they're afraid to admit that they need help. But once you do reach out, that feeling and just like the recovery that can be made is really amazing.
Yes, it is. Now, Bailey, do you have anything coming up that our audience can look out for?
I do have a new song coming out soon. I also upload on the Finally Free Instagram, which is just for mental health, pretty frequently, and any podcasts I will put out. So yeah.
Awesome. And do we have anything going to share?
We always have stuff happening. You can check out the website shareselfhelp.org. We will have a conference coming up in January, and on peer support, and people from all over the world will be talking about it. But you're welcome to go. Please come and support others.
Yes, I want to thank you personally and also on behalf of Central Division Victim Services for speaking with us today, because the topic is so important. We can't do but like, I just want people to do the work. Do the work, guys. The information is out there, the resources out there, the accountability is out there, like everybody's mentioning, like you can't do it by yourself. So if you know someone, or go to a place where you can be welcomed with a group of individuals who may be going through the same thing you're going through. Like they said, feel free to find out any information you want versus either one of their platforms, songs, podcasts, any resources, LA, Nashville, and of course PA. We have everything you need for Pennsylvania, and if we don't have it, we are sure enough able to find it somewhere for you and guide you on the right path to do what you need to do to get the help that you need. So, like I said, I want to thank you both, Bailey and Jason, for being on here. Please let us know how we can be of assistance to anything that you're doing, and vice versa. So, we're here for you. We support what you're doing.
Thank you so much. I'm originally from Philly, so I'm just loving this. I'm feeling Philly knows Philly, man.
Oh my gosh, small world. Small world. Yeah, now we really have to connect now. Now we really have to connect. But I hope you both enjoy the rest of your evening, and feel free to send me any information I can share through our platforms, website, or anything like that, and I'll do just that.
Thank you so much. Keep up the good work.
Thank you. Have a good one.
Everybody. Yeah. Bye-bye.